I think first and foremost, I hope that they see a role for themselves in public service, both by my example, but also in terms of the different types of topics that we talked about. So I tried to be very diverse in the different issue areas that I brought up, so that students would be able to see kind of a nuance in policy making and in the institutions in Washington, D.C. In a way that would allow them to see their own path forward in these places. And so we had great conversations about, women's and girls' issues, refugee rights, new frontiers, and how we, think about our engagement as the United States with the world. And what does that mean for diplomacy? And I think this next generation of young people who are going to enter public service is going to be really critical to answering some of the questions as we look at some of these challenges that we have. I think it's just a fresh discourse. And so what I mean by that is, some of the conversations in Washington, D.C. tend to be pretty typical. And so both just being able to get out of the bubble of Washington, D.C. to have these conversations, and then on top of that to have them with thoughtful, engaging students, allows for different and fresher perspectives, and then allows you to look at kind of the policies and things you talk about a certain way. I thought the questions that I got as feedback were really useful for me to then say, well, if students are asking these kinds of questions, we can explore some of these things further. I think a lot of it falls in the bucket of professional development / leadership skills. So how do you just navigate yourself as a young woman in whatever environment you're in, but what are the particular challenges to a political environment? And there are some. So, I found a lot of questions about how did I get to where I got to, but also very personal questions about, if I'm talking about something serious, how can I be taken seriously? If I, am in a room, how do I project myself so that I'm not nervous or I'm not shy, and I think some of those challenges are specific to women because I think we put more pressure on ourselves sometimes than maybe our male colleagues do. And so I think just to be able to talk about some of those things and then look at the different types of tools that we might use to, and then personally the things that I've used in my life, and being able to relay some of those things has been really helpful. There's one story that sticks out to me. After I did the Women and Girls session last week, I had a student come up to me and my speaker and say, I was feeling really cynical and disillusioned about government, but after kind of hearing this talk and and coming to your seminars, it leaves me feeling renewed about participating in public service. And how great is that? And that was part of my goal too, was to build, again, nuance, so that to help guide students about what they're passionate about, and not just say I want to work in the foreign service or I want to be in politics, but actually realize what that means for themselves. And I think with her saying that, it just made me realize yes, this is what I wanted to impart, and the fact that you're now newly convicted to want to figure this out and work in Washington, wherever you end up, was a great kind of symbolic conversation to my time here.